Hello guys, my name is Patrick Mensah, and today I'm going to talk about how to handle vectors in R programming. So when we say vectors, what is a vector? A vector is any variable with one or two, or it can be more values of the same type. For instance, we have a fillant here, and I created a variable called fillant, and I gave it 13, so it is having only one value. And so let's use our programming to run them and see. So I created this variable called fillant 13, and then you can look at the type of fillant or the type of the variable and to see whether to see what type of vector I have created. And by default, it is double precisions by default. So another way to look at it is to use the class function, and it also tells you that it is it's a numeric because it is number. Now let's look at the parts. So the parts, I created this. We look at this, and the type of part is what is double by it's a double precision, and then we can also look at the class, and it tells you that it's numeric. So all these are numeric values. We can also look at this one, and then it tells you it's a double precisions by default, and then it's also numeric. Now let's look at character variables. So the character variables, we can have a single character, we can have a double character, we can have so many. In other programming languages, it says it's a string characters. So let's look at this. I created for P. We can look at the class of it, and it tells you that the type of PP, and it tells you is character variable. We can also see the class of it, the class of PP, and it tells you that it's a character variable. So it's also the same thing. So we also have this hello world character that is mostly used in every programming. So we assign it to TT, and it says, okay, my name is Patrick Mensah. So my name is Patrick Mensah. What is it? It tells you that my name is Patrick Mensah over here. And we can look at the type. It tells you that it's a character, and the class is also a character. Now let's look at the ones with logics. And it's also called the Boolean. So with the logics, we have a true and then the false. Sometimes we use the true values, and you can use T, R, U, E. We can also use the word T, and it's basically the same thing. So let's run for the true. You look at the part, it tells you that it's true, and the type of it tells you that it's a logic. It's a logical or a Boolean value. Let's look at this. It's also going to give you the same thing because it's T. Part 3 is giving you a true value, and the type of it is called logic. You can look at the class. Let's look at the class. The class of part 3. And it tells you that it's logical. So it's basically the same thing. Let's look at part 4. Tells you that it's false because you can also use the false as in FALSE. It's also going to tell you the same thing. It tells you that it's a logical. Now, in the previous video, we talked about how to see whether one equation is equal to the other. So part 3 and part 4. Let's look at part 3 and part 4. When you look at part 3 was a true value, and then part 4 was a false value. So is part 3 is equal to part 4? It tells you that it's false because part 3 was true and then part 4 was false. Let's look at part 5. We say part 5 is true. Let's see whether part 3 is equal to part 5. We do that, and it tells you that it's true. This is because it's a true statement because part 3 is true, and then part 5 is also true. Now let's look at how we can handle vectors. So we look at it in either in one dimension of either a row or a column. So let's look at this. So we created this vector 1 for these values to 23, 45, blah, blah, blah. So it's just here. Now we look at the vector, it gives you the value here, and we use the is vector to ask whether it is a vector or not. If it is a vector, it's going to tell you that it's true, it's a vector. If it is not, it's going to tell you that it's not, it's false. So we look at it and it tells you that it's true. Let's look at a vector with strings or characters. So we use this and it gives you male, female. Okay, male, female, male, female. And it's asking whether it's a vector. Yes, and truly it's a vector. Let's look at the vectors with Boolean values, the true, false values, and then we do that, and it gives you, it tells you that it's a true value. Now let's look at this filan2 with these values. We are going to work with this filan2 as it goes on. So filan2 has these values. Now let's look at the class. I have already said that this class is numeric, and then the length is telling you how big is the data. So how many values are in filan2? So it tells you that it's 11 values. Now you can find the mean by adding all the values and then divided by the number, which we know the number is 11. So you can add this value. Okay, so if you want to know, okay, let's say we can say, let's find the sum. We find the sum of filan2, and it's this. If you want to find the mean, you add the sum and divide by 11. So it gives you 28.181818. So that is it. If you want to find the maximum value, that is the biggest value in the filan2. You look at it and it tells you it's 67, and truly it's 67. You look at the minimum value, we use this function mean, and it tells you it's 9. You look at the 25th percentile, 50th percentile, which is the median, the 75th percentile, and then the maximum value with the quantile function, and it gives you all the values over here: 9, 12, 19, 43, and 67. Now let's look at how we can extract numbers from the data. Which data I'm talking about? The filan2. Now, if you want to extract the third number from the filan2, we use this code to extract the third value. So you run it and it's telling you that the third value is 56, and it's true, it's 56. Let's look at selecting we are going to extract the second, fourth, and fifth value. So we use this code to select the second, fourth, and fifth value. You can choose the different values and then see whether it's going to give you a different answer. That is by practicing coding. So it gives you the value. If you want to extract the first 4 values, we use this function, and it extracts the first 4 values. Now we can arrange the data, but that is filan2, in ascending or descending order. So if you want to arrange it in ascending order, we use the sort function. So the sort filan2 will arrange it in ascending order. So this is arranged very nicely. Now, if you want to arrange them in descending order, we reverse the sorting, and this is how it is done. We use the reverse function, and then it does everything for you. Now, if you want to arrange in descending order and then produce only the first 6 values, we use this value to do it. And this is so nice, it produces it. Now, if you want to find the sum of what you generated, we use this value, and this is here. It gives you 262. Now, if you want to find which of the vectors contain the maximum of all the values in the vector, you can use this code. You can use this code, or you can use this code, but this one looks pretty simple. So let's see whether the 2 codes are going to give us the same thing. It gives you 4. It gives you 4. Another way, it's also gives you 4. And if you want to use to tell which of the vectors that contains the minimum of all the values in the vector, so this one too, you can use either this code, which is done here nicely, or you can also use this code, which is very simple. So let's try and see whether it's going to give us the same values. This will give you 8 and also gave you 8. So I think this is all about knowing how to handle vectors in our programming. Thank you very much for your time.